happened to see Steve Jobs launch the iPad, the iPad 1. And I watched and I became fascinated with the possibilities of what could be for our students with additional needs.
We saw it as an opportunity, I guess, to really progress teachers' thinking about how to work with children and young people in a unique environment like the Royal Children's Hospital.
Within the first 15 minutes of students opening up their iPads, we were absolutely thrilled with their commitment to exploring this new device and finding out things that we didn't think were actually possible.
Being a rural school, it's one of the things where these sort of opportunities that don't come along that often, and it provided us with I suppose another means of challenging the directions we were going with the use of technology.
We had probably 5 devices in the classroom, so to have a one-to-one device for each student was pretty incredible.
The goal most definitely was, will this device enable our students to access literacy, to develop their literacy skills, remembering that deaf students worldwide struggle with literacy.
We have students who are refugees, students who are migrants. We're probably one of the most multicultural schools in the region. So the opportunity to join the trial and expose those young people to new ways of learning and new tools of accessing information was certainly exciting through the iPad trial.
We've been doing a lot of work in using Apple technologies and things for a number of years, so when the opportunity came up to investigate the mobile devices and these new machines that were coming out, we were really excited by that.
Hoping with the iPad trial that the students would become more self-directed with their learning, and that having such a wonderful gadget to use, they've got the world in their hands, they could find out whatever they wanted.
But the keyboard is very restrictive for kids. A swish of the iPad was a technology that grabbed kids right from the very beginning.
And the more I watched, the more I became convinced that this may be the most transformational tool ever to enable our kids to access, to learn, to engage in a meaningful way in curriculum and to drive learning.
Well, the iPad applications, they're a one-off, they're a single entity, they're easy to use, you don't need a help manual to do it. Very engaging, we can network very easily.
More than just a toy within the classroom, they're a real piece of equipment which we can use to develop what we're doing in literacy numeracy focus.
Using the iPad in the classroom, we've been able to seamlessly integrate the technology. For instance, in our art class, we've had an amazing project where the teacher used the sound bite of Alice in Wonderland as stimulus for students. The students then chose an application, a drawing application for themselves to create their paper mache 3D project.
Because there are so many apps where children can get their thoughts down quickly and in a visually very organised way, rather than the laborious pen to paper. So they're prepared to have a go at writing in a way that they haven't been before.
Another significant force, which I think probably impacts on the student management side of things, is the attendance. Our attendance rates for Year 5, Year 6 over the last 2 years have been incredible.
With our children, it's very difficult for some of them to be able to communicate what we want from them in an activity. With the iPad, it's so intuitive that the children can open up an app and it's very much, it dictates to them what they have to do. So they're in no doubt as to what they have to do in their task.
In January of 2011, myself and another teacher went over to Dallas and we worked with a team from Apple there about this new program, and basically it's very similar in a way to a lot of inquiry-based or project-based learning, but the final end of it is really that there's a big focus on the process and the product.
With the teachers, again, it was that level of excitement that they were doing something different. They were trailblazing in a way. It ignited their passions. Many of them had experience with technology in different ways, and this was a different path they were going down, so they could see some real worth.
They'll share their learning with their families, what they're doing on the iPads, and they love sharing with other classes in school, with their buddies. They'll do things on their iPads, so it's been a really great way of learning and sharing.
They were very passionate about their part in a project. They saw that at the end of the project, it wasn't a theoretical conclusion to a piece of learning. It was an actual life, hardcore representation. There it was. The responses back from people they communicated with were real.
As soon as the iPad came along and we saw how many different apps there are being developed for children, non-verbal kids in particular, we started to explore these.
We've seen an incredible engagement by teachers and by children and young people, and an interest in it all more broadly right across the hospital.
The kids coming in, they come in with a health condition. They're in there to get better, and the first priority of the family is, of course, to make their kids better. We come along as teachers and we come along with this tool called an iPad, and it's very motivating for the children.
For the first time ever, we had students with high support needs succeeding in using technology, and the joy on their faces about what they can do actually sold the iPad.
We've seen that a range of different teachers have reflected on their practice and started to trial the use of different strategies in their classroom because they've got a device that they can seamlessly integrate within the classroom.
It's been exciting to see students find those different access points into their learning and different ways of making meaning of the world and understanding the world about them.
This accessibility created through the iPad is enabling them to learn, to engage, to participate, but more importantly, to be successful.